which brings us to your experiences.
Yeah, and I want to just back up a little bit.
Sure.
So, Tate, tell us a little bit about yourself.
We started Boxcar about 10 years ago.
Okay, so you're an owner of Boxcar.
Owner of Boxcar. We started it in the rail yard 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Took over a business, a pre-existing business, Junction. Mm-hmm. And turned that from a slower kind of sports bar to a thriving thing with adding on late night food and a music venue and things like that. So anyway, so it's very much so, there's a lot of commerce going on there.
Yeah, you guys have done very, very well, I think.
It has done well.
I've been a loyal patron of Boxcar.
It has.
As well as Tiny's, as well as our local place, Del Charo.
Yeah, you know, and there's not many places in Santa Fe. There's how many restaurants? 300 restaurants or something outrageous, and most, anyway, the ones downtown are high end. Our place is more specific in volume and a price point that is approachable. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it keeps churning. And that's kind of why I was willing to talk to you guys about it. Because over in the rail yard, we were on that circuit of all sups on Cerrillos down Guadalupe towards the plaza where they get there's a lot of action down there. And so anyway.
Yeah. Well, and you know what we're doing. I mean, JD and I are talking to people in our community of various stripes and positions concerning, I guess more broadly, the condition of our city.
Yeah.
And what we see as a sharp rise in crime, in homelessness, in some other things like that. And so we were wondering if you had anything to speak to any of that when it came to what you see at your restaurant, what you notice downtown, any trends that you see, or any thoughts on that subject?
So we recently, like I said, moved from the rail yard to the heart of downtown, just off the plaza. And so that's certainly, there's a different vibe from the rail yard to the plaza, don't get me wrong. But you're still, the rail yard, there was certainly a circuit, like I said, up and down Guadalupe that we dealt with a lot of. And being a high volume kind of place, there's a lot of people, for example, going in and out. And so next thing you know, you're targeted as a place that someone can bum a cigarette, panhandle some money, blah, blah, blah. And so it's been a draw, if you will, for crime from people trying to break into our establishment over the last couple years in the rail yard. But now downtown, there's a whole new, there's a scary element over there downtown, and it's changed significantly over the last couple years. I don't recall hearing when there was someone actively robbing tourists or whoever was walkers downtown. It seemed like the city was very much so aggressive in finding out who that individual was and stopping it immediately before it hit too much social media or before it became too much of a discussion. We don't have a university here. We don't put out textiles, right? Our industry isn't coal, okay? We put out food and tourism and food and beverage, and it's a draw. Northern New Mexico as a state is an amazing place. The whole state is a museum. I've said it before. You can drive in any direction. And so that's the draw here. And not only that, the culinary scene downtown. People want to stay at La Fonda at the end of Route 66, right? And that's a huge thing. But we're seeing our security staff and some of the other security guys downtown. I mean, this just came up 48 hours ago. Some people went in for an after dinner, some people who probably don't live here, or who knows. But they went in from a nice dinner, spent some money, and they wanted a drink at one of the spots, and they did. And they were leaving, I believe it was one of the places on the corner of Angelo's or whatnot. And those security guys, we all talked about it. We watched older folk walk away and disperse. A couple went this way into the night. And then someone went this way, this older gentleman went that way. And no one felt good about it. Because there's so much it's muggings. I grew up in New York City part of my life. And I've been mugged on subways. And if that's the narrative going on in our main industry, in the heart of Santa Fe, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm willing to completely discuss this with you guys, because it certainly is without question a pressing issue. We're losing staff because they have to park, because it is, again, Santa Fe, so they have to park in these parking lots or down the street a couple blocks. And we have security guards escort the ladies back to the car. And the security guards walking back, we have homeless guys trying to mug them. The security guys wearing security unis, they're not scared.
Wow.
And I don't know, I keep my finger on the pulse of a lot of things, and so I feel like if I didn't bring up fentanyl in this discussion,
Sure. Then
I wouldn't be valid in a lot of my insights, because I see that, we smell it you smell it downtown. You smell it downtown. You go into one of these, commonplace malls where there's a bathroom or whatnot. It's disgusting.
We've had multiple overdoses at the DeVargas Mall because I was working at the bookstore. We'd have medics come in there because multiple people have died in that back bathroom stall, the public bathroom.
Yeah. We've got a former medic, a Marine medic on our staff. He's got Narcan. He's got Narcan just in case it happens down at the bottom of our steps. And it's just, if restaurants and food and beverage and hotels, if that's the draw in this beautiful place that we live in, but we're not taking, if we were in West Virginia and this was a coal discussion, the coal workers get all kinds of TLC from this, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's your main industry, you would think there'd be more effort to protect it, certainly. And this isn't coal workers. This is 75-year-old tourists walking around here. They're not coming back if they can't walk down the street without being harassed for money, but then being mugged and robbed. I don't know. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. Our employees aren't thrilled about closing shifts. I have to have a whole new wave of hiring to try to focus on people that are willing to come to work late nights and park somewhere, and we're going to have to come up with some rideshare programs, park at a different auxiliary location and run people in and out. I just don't know what else to do to maintain and keep a work staff that feels safe and that wants to come to work and doesn't worry about going to their car after walking away with cash. These are people that are walking with some big bucks, right? Mm-hmm. And so these guys know that. So, sir, we kicked everyone out. The art of living downtown and working downtown, we threw that out the window how long ago with Airbnb. Sweet. Now we can't foster people to work in our industry because they're scared to go to their car at night. I don't know. And so it's certainly a thing. We're feeling the effects of it from the bottom of our stairs to our staff. Our staff's feeling safe after to and from work. I don't know. It's more and more, and it just seems like it's coming to a head. So.
Yeah. Well. No, I'm just soaking in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you have had the two locations. You did have the location that you were in, and now being in the heart of downtown, and having moved there, you would think that would feel safer. You would think that you're where the heart is beating of Santa Fe, right there downtown, and you would think that you would think that if there was a place to guard, it would be that.
Yeah.
But yet you have this experience of moving into the heart, just pretty much on the plaza, practically.
Right.
and going to what you're describing.
Yeah, I mean, the square footage in rent is comparable to a lot of pretty intense markets. San Francisco, there's a lot of that square footage downtown should come with something.
Sure, absolutely.
Right, and like our landlord can only do so much. We got security guys walking around in our Commons area mall. They do their best, but what's going on outside those doors, I don't know, and I don't get it. They're more concerned. I see more parking unis, more people in blue parking unis downtown than anyone watching, looking out for everyone's safety.
So they're very concerned about the parking.
It's the biggest. Yeah. I believe it's the biggest. It's how this town makes a lot of the money, right? And I get that, and that's a whole nother topic that that plagues downtown businesses for our staff and for our customer. Mm-hmm. And so, there's not a lot of parking, and then when there is, you got to walk 2 blocks. And our thing is late night food, so that's also part of. I'm glad you guys interview it or talking to me about it, because we serve food till midnight. Mm-hmm. People get off work at 10:30, 10:45, 11, 11:30. And scramble in to grab some grub that, they just got done serving people food all night long, and now it's their turn, right? And so they come to us, but I can't, I can't allocate security guards to walk everyone back to their car all the time. I'd like to do that for every customer. That would be great. Instead of having a valet service, it's a walking service. We've got guys that will walk you back to your car. I can't afford that. You know how much a security guy is an hour? $25 minimum, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so sure. These guys are tasked with walking some of the girls, some of the waitresses, even the guys. Guys aren't safe. It's not a girl-guy thing. They're tasked with walking people back to their cars, and at that same time, while they're doing that, I need someone standing around helping watch the manager with the money and kicking people out or whatever's going on, making sure there's no weird action going on. So anyway, it's all coming to a head, and I don't have the resources for it to accommodate this spike in crime like you guys are witnessing and seeing and hearing from everyone else, because I know it's not just us.
There's a real cost when it comes to crime, right? And it costs the taxpayer, it costs the local business. Your business provides a service for not just our locals, but for our tourists. It's a great local place, local atmosphere. It's a huge draw downtown, provides good food in a safe environment. But the problem is once you leave that, I think the policies start to blame the local businesses for the trouble.
Right.
But if we don't have these businesses to provide that nightlife, then we have no tourism, because people want that.
Right.
So when there is no protection of the private businesses, which you're paying, like you said, comparable costs in like New York,
yeah,
or San Francisco.
Right.
And this is Santa Fe, our local community, but at the same time, we can't provide safety.
Yeah.
And we're having issues when it comes to law enforcement coming in and being able to arrest people that are causing problems. Well, then that is on the dime of the business owner, and it only takes so long before that business goes under.
Right.
We've seen it up and down Cerrillos Road when you got Denny's constantly having broken windows, when you have businesses that are getting fined because of issues with homeless.
Right.
That's why gas stations are closing at 9 o'clock, because they can't afford it. This is the town that feared, sundown.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, our Walgreens closes at 10. Albertsons closes at 10. You show me a market that does that. Walgreens, that's a 24-hour spot. Even the pharmacy and other markets stay open 20. So anyway, it's indicative. And you can't have it. You can't have it both ways. You can't ask a workforce to be there and to take care of the tourists. And in these and people want to go out and spend some money on there's some really nice restaurants. You can't have wealthy people, tourists, I don't care who it is, locals, going out downtown Santa Fe and then having these people who work in those places get out of work and not have anywhere to go. And then when they do, their car gets broken into, or they're potentially mugged walking out of, I just, you know what I mean? And so I worry about the tourists. I worry about something vile happening and hitting the papers from someone from Houston, and Santa Fe is a crime-riddled town or whatever. Just something horrific happening. I mean, that's all it takes, right? Just something that is an eye-opening, shocking story. And next thing you know, we've got a black eye in our tourism, in our main industry. And it's close. It's close. If something's not done, something weird's going to happen. And that's the stuff. That's what I fear. Something weird is going to happen. And then again, you can't ask these people who work in these industries to do that, to go to work and then get out and feel safe walking around downtown. I just, you know what I mean? Those are the people that take care of all the front desk people, all the guys who work valet, all the housekeeping staff, all the late night servers and bartenders and blah, blah. I mean, that's hotels. All those people get out work late. And if they're not safe, I don't know how else we're gonna protect our industry. It's about protecting the people that are the stewards of our industry, right? And we're not. So I don't know. We got to figure something out.
Yeah. You know, so many of the questions that I had for you, you're just like naturally hitting. You know, and I think that's because you're living this.
Yeah.
You know, we're observing this, and to some degree have been affected by these things also. And I can tell you, 2 of my daughters were attacked at a gas station recently. So this is affecting all of us, but you're there in the heart of the commerce of downtown.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even have to ask many questions of you, because you're just doing such a good job of explaining how it is and how you feel about it and what you think about it and how your employees are feeling about it.
Yeah.
You know, even listening to you say that you wish that you had the kind of budget where you could send a security guard to walk every single one of your employees to their cars, but you just can't.
Right.
You know, man, you know, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, I just like, it's on the rise, and I'm glad you guys are shining the light on it.
Well, you know, we're doing our best, and I think that's kind of where it starts, right? Because you know, when you have some of our public officials that are denying there's an issue in the first place, and kind of saying things like, well, you know, maybe you had an issue, so you're disaffected, so it feels like it's worse than it is to you.
Right.
It's not so bad. When you're hearing answers like that,
right,
the first thing it makes us want to do is put a light on it.
That's right.
Because if you're going to fix something, the first thing you got to do is put a bright light on it so that you can see the ugliness.
Yeah.
So that you can see what this is, so that we get past the it's not there.
Yeah.
This isn't really happening. It's
Right.
not that bad.
Right.
You know, and then take a good hard look at it and say, okay, we do have a problem.
Yeah.
And now you're really at step 1.
Yeah.
And that is, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I think another factor in this too is something to just real quick to denote is that, from my understanding, the last 4 break-ins into vehicles downtown on our staff, by whoever on our staff's cars. I asked him, because we were talking about this, and I don't know how we're going to change it, and what can we do, because it's a thing. It's coming up in our work meetings. And I asked him, I said, did everyone report this? Was it reported? Mm-hmm. And people, you report it to your insurance, and I'm sure that makes statistics. What are you going to do, call the cops because someone broke your window and stole the change out of your ashtray or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it sucks. Is it worth calling the cops and I got to wait for 40 and then fill out a thing? So a lot of this crime isn't going documented. Mm-hmm. That's another serious thing that's going on too. So when you say there's a spike in documented crime going on right now, I mean, imagine all the for every documented breaking in and entering or whatever, breaking a car, window, how many go unregistered, right? So anyway, that's something that I think is also, and I'm trying to encourage my staff and people I know, you got to call the police.
Right.
You got to document this so that way, right, numbers don't lie, right? So that's, you know, you got to do your part. So I just feel like there's that too. So anyway, I think that's an issue.
And we know that there's a few levels here that have some cracks, and you're looking at one of them where things are not really getting to the stats that we see. So we know that crime is underreported.
Yeah.
Tate, I just want to thank you. You know, we've been doing this for the last almost year, doing this documentary. Right before that, it was about homelessness, and you know, we've interviewed all kinds of people from our community. Some didn't want to do interviews. A lot of folks are afraid here in our own community. And I'll tell you, you know, being from this community, we've heard all kinds of answers, and one of them is that, oh well, it's bad all over. It's bad all over the United States. You know what? I'm tired of hearing that, because I don't care about what's happening in the United States.
Right.
I care about what's happening in my community.
Right.
This is our community.
That's right.
And whether the data shows that there's a spike in crime or not,
right,
that's the perception, but then here we are living the reality.
Right.
And we've talked to not politicians, we've talked to real people that have nothing to gain by lying about this.
Right.
These are real folks that are being affected by it.
Right.
So there is a problem, and you know, I often ask folks, you know, what do you think the reason for this is happening? You know, and I've heard, oh, well, we don't have enough police, COVID-19, all of those things. Well, as we start to investigate more and more, we start to find that all roads lead to City Hall. All roads are eventually going to lead to the policymakers.
Right.
And I don't like to call them public officials. I call them elected representatives.
Right.
We vote for them. They provide a service for us. And they are failing the social contract.
Right.
You are not my political overlord. I do not serve you.
Yeah.
You are there because we put you there, and you have to provide a service.
Right.
Public safety is one of them, and even just cleaning up the damn potholes in the city. And we're not getting any of that.
Anything.
And like you said, at some point it's coming to a head. We lose tourism because something really happens to a tourist, and they get it out there. We lose an industry. If they lose a business like, you know, Boxcar, or someplace else, then we're in trouble.
And a lot of times it feels like law enforcement, the courts, the state entity that watches the alcohol, those entities are more concerned about DUIs and us over-serving, and instead of, when we have contact with law enforcement or any kind of anything going on right now, it seems to be, what'd you do? What did you do? You did it. You did it. It's instead of engaging us and helping, like we're not getting people drunk and they're out robbing people, right? I mean, so I just like, I'm not feeling what you're talking about, which is I'm not getting back what we voted for and what our tax dollars go to. So I get the opposite, right? As a place that serves alcohol. And I get it, you know, DUIs, it's a thing, and 7,500 feet and blah, blah, blah. And people come from whatever. It's a thing. And we deal with that every day. We deal with a lot of stuff every day in our industry. But I just like, I don't see the police and a presence downtown in helping us facilitate this industry. I see it more as watchdogging the alcohol sales.
Quick to find local businesses, but not to help or provide the service that they're supposed to.
Or even like basic protection.
Resources. Street lights. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Like, go over to, what is it, across the street from Del Charro, across the way from the river. I believe it's the education building.
I see
seen those lights?
I see. It's been there for a long time.
It's incredible.
They said it's because they didn't pay their electric bill. And that's the VA, all of that, right across from the Capitol.
It's if you want just a real blatant, obnoxious reminder of failure, that's a good one. That's one I see all the time because I park over there.
Sure.
It looks like a horror movie.
It does.
It's
it looks like
foreshadowing
something. Yeah.
the future
Give me
of the
a
city.
seizure walking through there.
I mean, we should all go dress up like Walking Dead and just start walking through the.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is. You're right. It's ridiculous. So anyway,
Well, Tate,
thank you guys.
thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming by.
Very
Thanks
cool.
for talking to us.
Absolutely. Anytime.
We appreciate you.
Gentlemen,
Tate, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This is one of the best interviews.